Hey, Derek.
Hey, I was expecting a few more to join. Maxim said he was going to join today.
Okay.
Hello. Hello.
Mhm.
Hello. All right. I didn't see anything on the agenda. I know there was one thing Maxim wanted to discuss. Um, there was another message I got from someone else. I'm not sure if they're here. Does anyone have anything they want to add to the agenda?
I had one quick question, which was what was the takeaway from Maxim's point in the last community meeting regarding the stale PR policy? I wasn't there for it.
Let's see. Do we have any notes about that one? I think the follow-up was going to be to write a proposal out and figure out how we wanted to do um, automation of it. Oh, Maxim's here now. But I don't think we came up with a solid plan there. I think there was still a little bit of research because we need to figure out. I don't even think this our Stalebot's working right now. I don't know if anybody's seen any activity from Stalebot, but I don't think it's working.
I
Um,
thought I just saw an email from it within the last week actually flagging like a stale PR. So that's why I
Oh,
brought it
maybe.
up.
Yeah, maybe just it's not hitting as many PRs as before.
I think DPR was merged yesterday. There was a limit on the number of items it processes, and it was like 40 or something. And it also always started from the beginning. So I kind of updated it to always start from the tail. So now it should reach to more issues and PRs. And I think it was merged yesterday, so we should probably see something today. I will check.
Yes. I forget what is our forget how we're even doing it.
Doing what?
The scale. Are we relying on the DosuBot thing for marking stuff or not?
No, it's a stale bot. It looks at last updated or last change date. And if it's more than what we specified, it adds a stale label. And after that, it closes after 2 weeks.
No,
It
gotcha.
also, I think, is just for categorization.
So we just have too many PRs for it to look at now.
Yeah.
Uh, is it just
No,
be
it works. It marked like the PR opened in 2021 with stale. It wasn't stale like a couple days ago. So if you look on the last page, almost everything will be marked as stale, right? No. Yes. Most, not most, but last like 10 issues are stale.
Yeah, issues also I see like some of them are marked like yesterday.
Oh yeah, yeah. So it looks like it works better than before.
I guess the stale bot, is that also setting the stale labels as well?
Yeah.
We had another bot that was going in there and setting some stuff, but
So right now it's 35 PRs marked with stale label, which is 10% of our queue. I thought it would be more.
your criteria is not very strict. On those ones, when does it get set? What's actually setting it as stale?
What do you mean?
Um, well, we still have that Dosubot active, but I'm not sure what it's actually doing.
So we should ask Sam. I think he was the one integrating it.
Well, I was working on it some too, but I just wasn't sure if it was actually involved in this process still.
It adds labels, as I see, almost in every issue.
Okay. So it is still the GitHub Actions bot that's setting the stale labels. Yeah, I don't see anything from Dosubot. Anyways, that's fine.
I think it works for issues. I'm not sure about PRs. Yeah, it's not for PRs, it's for issues.
Uh, okay, that's the behavior change then. Yeah, I see that on the Dosubot config. I think previously it was for both, but they changed something some point.
Okay. For PRs, we still have Robot alive. It still marks PR sizes and cherry picks. We need something for cherry picking. It's very convenient to, just write the comments.
Wait, are you suggesting removing Prowl? Because I think there's less push from Kubernetes now for us to like get off that bot.
I'm not suggesting I like it, but someone mentioned that it will be removed from other repositories, other from Kubernetes repositories.
I see. I know that was an effort that they were pursuing. I don't know what the status of that is anymore.
Yeah, this is why I was wondering it's still alive and it still works for PRs in other queue.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah,
know
if
if
they're
it's
not
like
making us get
go
off
ahead.
it. No, I just said, I mean, it works fine. I mean, if we replace it with something, I think we pretty much want to replace it with something almost exactly the same for for backporting.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. I opened APR to run CI on dev branches. Does anyone want to LGTM it? Akihiro was the only one who commented it, and he was like, why don't we use forks for that?
we talked about
Um,
that a few weeks ago.
yeah.
I'll take a look. I've been really bad about my GitHub notifications lately, so
I mean, personal fork repos also requires, I think, you to have your own like GitHub CI runners like set up. Because I've tried testing this out before, and then I just like exhausted my quota.
yeah. What we discussed a few weeks ago is for some of these longer changes, having a dev branch that we can open pull requests to and get some CI and review while it's still in dev to
Mhm.
make the merge back into main a little bit smoother. So like in that
There's
case
also the
today, if we had, yeah,
go ahead,
done.
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say because right now it's like we've had a few changes that were too big, and then you end up with this long history of like it's just making the PRs more manageable to review for some of these longer term changes for the upcoming release.
There's also the private fork was what I was gonna say. Although maybe that's a misuse of it, but
Yeah, I don't think we want to use the private fork for that. We're just like the maintainers. I mean, the idea with the having the dev branches is anybody could open up a pull request to it and have CI run against it, just as if it's running against main. But yeah, I don't think it. I think maybe Akihiro is looking at it as doesn't want us to change our general workflow from like moving away from private or like personal force, but I don't think that's the case here. I think it's going to be on like a feature by feature basis, and only maintainers can create the dev branches anyway. So I
Yeah.
don't think we're just going to have a bunch of random dev branches created. And we can put branch rules on those as well. If we want to limit it further.
Though it would be nice to be able to rebase it from time to time against main to reduce the number of conflicts in the end.
Yeah, that's funny. If we do, yeah, if you were to allow rebase, well, I guess for those private forks, or sorry, for the dev branches, we can do like no merge commits, and then if we're going to that might make it a little cleaner. Because if you allow pull requests in it and then you allow uh merge commits, then the rebase becomes a little bit ugly.
Don't we don't allow merge commits in the main branch. How that would be resolved in the end when you want to merge
I mean,
it.
we'd have one merge commit rather than like a merge commit for every sub change.
No, I mean, while you work on the branch, you periodically make merge commits to resolve conflicts with main, right?
You could
And
do
then you,
that
you push
the way as
you push
well.
more stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's one way to do it. Instead of rebasing, do a merge commit. Is that what you're saying?
So my original thinking is it would be nice to have rebase so we can like have linear history but resolve all issues,
Yeah.
right? But also this kind of gives right permissions to their branches.
Yeah, you need force push. I think that's fine to allow force push to the dev branches. There's two ways to resolve the conflict. One is to rebase, and the other is to
Yeah.
basically merge. Either way is kind of fine. I think the history might be a little cleaner with the if we do the rebasing. Otherwise, like it's gonna look like you're going to have a bunch of merges back in from the branches, and then you're going to have the merge commits back into main. Yeah, might be a little ugly, but can try it out and see. But we can set like branch rules on there to like force like a rebase commit instead of a merge commit on dev branches and
Mhm.
allow force
Yep.
pushes.
Yep.
Okay. I know there was a topic you wanted to discuss. Do you still want to discuss that one today, Maxim? For the
Which one?
AeroFS stuff? You said you wanted me
I
to show the
didn't.
AeroFS stuff.
I did not get the team aligned on timing. Sorry about that.
That's fine. There was another, Ishan, you had another topic you wanted to bring up. Or did you want to look at
Yeah,
that one here today or just
I would love to. That would be fantastic if we have time for it.
yeah, we have time.
Sweet. Well, pleasure to meet all of you first. Uh, and well, I'm happy to present a little bit about the reason I made it and what the goal is, and then we can look at the code. What would you prefer?
Yeah, you can talk about it some. Do you have you want to put the commit up there?
Yeah,
I'll put it
let
in the
me
notes that you're
show me share my screen.
go ahead.
Like, let's see if Zoom can do this online. I have hope. Oh wow. Let's go. Okay. So can you see everything?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So the inspiration here was to we're trying to build a method to enforce image signatures at the container runtime. In Kubernetes, there's been some attempts to do it at the admission controller level. And we're trying to go further right than just admission control onto the node itself. And the other benefit of this is that this is also the furthest right, but it's also potentially a better integration point because admission control making an API call has always been problematic. I don't think the API server was built to handle latency around making an API call, and so you deal with a bunch of caching issues. And Containerd already goes out and verifies a bunch of things and also reaches out to a bunch of people. We thought to have a hook that can send container metadata and the actual runtime metadata over to some sort of third-party tool would be helpful before starting a container would be helpful. And so I think there's already been a contribution for a plugin that does image verification, except it does image verification at pull. And so that's really helpful, but we wanted to take it a step further by also doing an optional image verification when the container starts. And the reason for that is when the container starts, we have additional context of the sandbox metadata, like the CRI annotations that have the container metadata, the Kubernetes annotations potentially, and we can use that data to help make better decisions. Like, for example, let's say you wanted to start enforcing in Kubernetes, but you wanted to do it at a namespace level. Then with the information that you get from the kubelet and from Containerd, you can have your third-party enforcement mechanism only enforce on specific namespaces. And so that was the inspiration of it. Any questions there before I potentially dive deeper into the code of how I attempted to do it?
We can go into kind of how you did it, and we can discuss kind of the feature at the end. Okay.
Sounds like a plan. Okay. So currently I'll just go into the docs of image verification, the current feature. So the current feature sends a media type of, let's see, it's the OCI descriptor. So this is, if you remember, for image pull, and so having a abbreviated form of the image descriptor was helpful. However, if we wanted to verify and run, we wanted to give additional context like those CRI annotations, right? So the well-known CRI keys. So what we did was I made a new media type that essentially just extends the OCI descriptor and just adds the well-known CRI keys and then the operation. So the operation can either be pull or run. And so that object has its own media type now. It's just the OCI descriptor, the CRI annotations, and the operation. So I can go through the struct there. Then the next thing I did was add to the docs, and then this is the annotation, the CRI annotations document. I just made a couple of modifications so it's easier for me to get the CRI keys. I don't think it was built to just extract the keys, so I just split up a function, but we can also talk about that. I think that's just some syntax. And then finally, here's the plugin container create. So before the container is actually created, we have a verify image function, and the verify image function basically compiles all the CRI annotations and then sends it to the image verifier package. And then based on the judgment received from image verifier, it can block the run of the image, or it can accept the run of the image. And I also wanted to kind of talk about this. I put all the well-known CRI annotations in one map, and I did this because it's easier for the verifier to consume that one map, and the keys are usually namespace, so collisions are rare. But if there are collisions, I chose the CRI annotations to be respected first, and then the container annotations, and then finally the Kubernetes annotations. So the annotations coming in from the Kubernetes pod sandbox config. And so the idea for that was that you shouldn't be able to spoof the request annotations. So the annotations from containerd and the annotations for the kubelet are the ones that get respected first, and then the annotations from the workload are the final things, and they get overwritten if containerd or the kubelet wants to add anything. And then I have testing functions, so unit testing functions, and then I also added some tests to the original tests. I hope that describes it, the code a little better. Does anyone have any questions, or maybe I can explain anything as well?
So the scope of this you're just thinking though is for CRI.
Yes.
How CRI specific are those annotations that you'd expect the image verifier to handle? Like what type of annotations are you talking
The
about there?
annotations. So these are the well-known CRI annotations that I think I use the functions from previous code to compile the well-known CRI keys. These are the CRI keys that we're trying to populate. the sandbox UID, the sandbox name, the container name. These are the CRI keys. Then there's the pod sandbox keys. So that's like the annotations that you put on the workload itself. And then there's also I forget the type of CRI key, but it's the one applied for the kubelet or by the kubelet. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. I guess the point, I think my original point on this change was that it's very CRI specific, which I think is fine. And I think this change is probably fine, but it starts to show I would say the limitations of the image verifier interface, which we intentionally left simple. At some point, there needs to be basically to support this case, you're trying to support policy more than just like image verification. And that might be a fine addition here. I'm just not sure how far that image verifier interface can be stretched beyond that. So if you look at it's a very simple interface today. Here I was gonna.
Are you talking about like the Binder interface, like the script itself, like the standard out, standard in,
more just like
etc.?
the interface for the image verifier at all. Like it's taking a descriptor and it's just basically returning a yes or no. There's no action in there, and I think that's where it specifically like goes from like it's a change in the scope of the image verifier as soon as that action's in there, because suddenly it goes from like is this image verified to like does this image meet this policy? And
right,
I think it's fine to it's a very valid use case to do policy management. My point is more, I don't know how far we can stretch that image verifier interface before we're like, we need a new plugin interface. And I don't like to be the one who like, well, I am the one who's always says like, oh, create a brand new interface for this thing. I don't think that's necessary for this case. But it does make me go and look at what would like a real policy. Yeah. So like there's I try to Google it, but there's a new, I don't know how new, but there's a project, a CNCF project called like the Cedar policy. Not sure how many people have taken a look at that, but I think at some point we would want to just support that or something like that. And then instead of like,
oh yeah.
Okay. And this is like, this goes like much farther, but I'm saying in terms of interfaces, like I'm not sure that the image verifier would really want to stretch the interface much farther than what it is. More likely what we were thinking is like, we'll keep the image verifier interface fairly simple. And I still think this is simple, but it's like simple in a way where it's like, it's a subtle change that has a big change in scope. And I don't want like that scope to keep increasing for something that's
you don't want to keep extending this. Yeah.
Ideally what we do is like, if we added a policy, if we added a policy manager, then like image verification could be a signal into it, but it's not necessarily like the policy manager itself. So like if we had like a policy plugin that say took Cedar, image verification could be a signal that goes into it. Like is this image verified? Yes or no? And that could go into the Cedar policy, and the Cedar policy would say, for this namespace, for this image, like, or can this namespace run unverified images, or like that type of thing. Like you would build up a policy, pass it to the policy manager, and the policy manager would come back and say like, no, you cannot run this image. And then, that's where you would put like CRI annotations or any other information that you could collect from containerd. And verification could just be like one of those signals, but it's not necessarily like the policy in and of itself.
Hmm.
That's where I would like to see it go. I'm not saying like that's where it has to go, but like to me that would be the like where I would want to pivot policy to, rather than like try to have a bunch of one-off policy. Because I mean you could see how this could quickly like
Balloon.
you could quickly expand the scope to say like, okay, this for this policy I just want to know whether I can run something, this image. But like the amount of signals you might want to add could increase. Or like, yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of different like variations on that you might want. Like, could this, for example, like, could this image, when I run with this image, can it use this like, say, CNI plugin or something like that? Or like,
Oh,
could
okay.
this,
So yeah. Or
like
can it
one of
run
the
as
things is like,
privileged?
yeah, could this image run with this runtime class? I think that would be like another example. Like one of the policies we were thinking of is, okay, with VM images, you might want a policy that says, I only want to run unverified images with a VM runtime class. And that could be a policy.
Yeah.
Like, can I run this image on this runtime class? This image is verified, or this image is not verified. Maybe only if you're in like the root namespace could you do that. I know there's like it's like a very specific example, but that's the whole
No, this
point of
all makes
having a
sense to
policy
me.
language, because like the policy language, like in containerd, we don't want to add that policy. In containerd, we would just add like, okay, here's the entities or whatever in the Cedar speak. Like this, here's the image, here's the user, here's the like pod configuration, and then like pass that on to the policy plugin. And the policy plugin will just come back and say whether or not the run can happen with that configuration or not. And it could come back with like, no, you can't run it. You cannot run this image with this runtime class. Something like that.
So if I'm understanding right, to achieve that, you're saying, yeah, right now the model here is not necessarily built to be extendable past like the CRI annotation keys, right? One day we want to have like way more context. And in addition to that, like a basic system for people to define their own policies in Cedar, and I drop that into a folder, for example, and
Yeah.
you'd get all that context from container create, the CRI annotations, as well as like any information you have, like the runtime class, etc. And then you also have that pluggable interface for them to define like a policy, and that in itself is like a whole plugin solution that people can use without having to build their own like third-party tool or script or system outside of containerd. Yeah. I think that's a really valuable, that would be a valuable thing to do. Trying to think. What would you prefer? Would you prefer that this be extended and then a new plugin be created, or would you prefer let's just move to a new plugin model and have a full struct go in and try and pull in Cedar? Or, I mean, do you also have opinions on the policy engine, like Common Expression Language, OPA, Cedar, etc.?
Well, I think the point that we try to do in containerd is to avoid injecting an opinion in how it's done, and rather just like define an interface. So like the same from a containerd perspective, the interface is this is the information I have, and this is the action I'm trying to do. I'm going to hand it off to some plugin. I don't care how the
What it
plugin,
is.
yeah, whether that's a
So
Cedar
you don't want to make an
policy or
opinion on
something
Cedar.
else. I don't, although since it is like a CNCF thing, sometimes it's not so bad to say like, it's kind of like gRPC or something. Although
True.
we also have TTRPC as an alternative, but like having some language to express it in, and then if something else wants to like if Cedar's expressive enough to kind of define, like any policy manager could use it. Like it's not necessarily like defining policy itself, it's just defining a language for like, all you need is like just an API input and output. So like just some way to define the inputs and some way to define the output. My point is that I don't think the image verifier is a good interface for that. And you can add some information, but it's very one-off and it's very specific. Whereas something like Cedar is very generic. Like you could add different types, and you don't really have to worry about how they get used. You just send it off to a plugin and let the plugin handle that. And image
So
verification,
really,
yeah.
No,
Say the image verification is just like one signal there, and we have a very like light policy, I would say, on it today.
Yeah. I'm trying to also think like, so right now the Binder plugin is like the real way that we like enforce it, where it just runs a bash script with standard in, and then you exit 1, it blocks, exit 0 passes. I'm wondering if there's a way to extend Binder to take in the same media type, but then just run it against the policy and have. Would you extend image verifier like to have like maybe don't use Binder, use this policy engine, or would you just replace it altogether and just be like, we can make our own custom media types, we can start from the beginning, and we can have like a better interface?
I'm not sure. I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about how I'd want to design it.
Yeah.
I think that, that's more of like a question of like how we would want to implement the policy plugin, if we were to generalize it. And we could do it the same way. I would probably look at how other projects would use a project like Cedar. Like they have a Go SDK, but like maybe the Go SDK isn't really relevant. As you said, maybe it's just we just basically extend what you added for the image verifier to just like this is a very containerd specific type that represents like a very containerd specific action. Send it to this plugin, and in the end, you're just going to get a judgment and a reason. That might be a perfectly fine way to do it. The point I was trying to make is I think we need to be very deliberate about how we increase that, because at that point it's not just image verification, it's like run policy,
namespace verification, like it's just like way more, it balloons out. Like that's so true.
It's the scope of it right now I think is pretty clear. You get an image descriptor in, but it's the image verifiers have a very small scope, I would say, right now. Like there's some things that they're missing to make them more useful. For example, like we have this referrers API and OCI that might have signatures attached to it. Well, we
should we
pass in a descriptor to the image verifier, and the image verifier can go fetch those signatures, but then you might have like now you might have another process that's reaching out to a registry, and then you have like authorization issues and stuff like that might not be ideal.
That's exactly the issue I ran into. And then the latency around that too is where I was like, oof, like I don't want to add that. And that's like, and that's why I was trying to make the opinion of like, hey, let's just fetch the full descriptor. And then you rightly like mentioned like that's an opinion that we make, because like then every refers has its own structure, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's so true. But
I
I
was
mean,
just
there
saying,
are
like,
like major ones.
yeah, from a policy perspective, image verified might just be a signal. And the
Yeah.
policy is whether or not we want to block poll on that. So, like, the image verifier might still be relevant, but like, I mean, like, you could see it as like it just sets a flag whether or not like this image is verified, and then it goes to a policy manager to say, like, can this user, like, here's the namespace, here's everything I know about this poll, maybe even like the registry username. Could this
Mm,
like can this user pull this image? And the policy manager would make a more informed decision rather than just like, oh, there's an image verifier in the bin dir, and like therefore now there's a policy to like block polls if image verification is false. So like
yeah.
that's very like black or white. It doesn't allow you to make like a very informed policy around it today.
It's not. And I actually, so what I was doing past this, right? There's Ratify, and they built like their own container D plugin built on image verifier. And literally all their script does is run the Ratify script, which then has its own policy engine. So I mean, what you're describing is what they're doing in just like a more runaround way, and I think you're trying to make it
Yeah.
more efficient and like and extendable, which I completely understand. Like we shouldn't have a script running a policy engine or anything. Like it could be like an API call, or it could be like
Yeah. I mean,
it could be like a more pluggable interface.
it it might just be that, yeah, the image verifier becomes a policy engine, and the interface looks exactly like that. It's just like we're just giving more context into what we pass up to it. And
Yeah.
maybe it's just a misnomer. And from a containerd perspective, we don't want a long, drawn out explanation for why something can't happen. Like we don't need like a full structure to say like, well, I don't know what like a Cedar policy coming back for. In the end, yeah, maybe just like like, can I run, like, yes or no? Like,
Yes, no
I,
judgment, right?
yeah, yes,
That is
no,
the
and then what can I tell the
structure.
user for why it didn't happen? And like, yeah, maybe that's
I will
fine.
say that the script is a little like interesting. Like for example, like if you do everything you print to standard error goes into the judgment. And so like you it's okay. Yeah, like you
Yeah,
mentioned all the potential flaws with it. It's not I agree that it should probably be built. I think the Binder plugin can be extended and can have pluggable interfaces to add additional things, but image verify in of itself might not be bad. I think the verify on run, it's like you keep adding those keys, it might not be ideal, and then you keep changing the media type, it's also not ideal. So I don't know, maybe we can talk about the interface and the media type and
yeah,
try and make that better because you mentioned runtime class. I never put that in. I can try and extend the media type. Like if we're going to extend the media type right now, I can try and put in as much context as I can. And then we can also talk about maybe just taking Binder and just adding something to it that's like Cedar or OPA or something. I don't know. Or an
yeah, and maybe
API
that's
call or something.
underneath
I don't
it.
know.
Like,
Yeah.
just, as long as I don't know that Cedar's the right way to do it, and I definitely wouldn't say like Cedar is like something we want to like embed deeply into our
I
like
agree.
deeply
Yeah.
into containerd. I mean, it's just it's it's pretty simple. I mean, from a policy like language perspective, like I don't think we want to like take in policy directly in containerd. We always, well, no matter what, we'd always have it as a plugin. But like whether that's like some sort of like built-in functionality or something more like the image verifier, where it's just like, hey, we're gonna give you this object, and do whatever you need with this like with this object, and just
And just
tell us
tell
whether or
us
not,
what your
yeah,
answer is.
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yes or no. So like maybe the Cedar might just end up looking like that anyways. You like containerd is not holding the policy. It's just holding this like I forget what they call it there, but like these like entity objects. there's like entities and then like actions. So you could have an object that's just like, here's the action that I want to do, and then like here are all the involved entities. So yeah,
Yeah.
maybe that's something you can take a look at and like see like for the interface that you're adding there, if there's like room to make it more generic to add more stuff like that. So like, yeah, annotations might be the way to do it, but like how much, yeah, annotations might just be like one field. But there might be
What
other
else can you
fields,
put in?
yeah, that might be relevant at that point. I'm not sure. But
I'm very interested in doing that. The reason I didn't put the fields in is because I probably need to understand a little bit more about what actually gets sent to the CRI, and then I just wanted to know what was actually information that could be like validated and verified versus spoofed, or like, what can be empty and what's not empty. And so I didn't want to pass everything straight through. But yeah,
yeah,
maybe I can do some research.
it makes sense.
Because
I mean,
you say
it's good
runtime
to look
class,
at.
right? That's
Yeah, it'd be good to look at what's in your context at that point and what type of stuff might be relevant for making that decision. Like I said, you're thinking specifically from the CRI perspective, but just like from the general run perspective, it's just like, yeah, CRI has a bunch of information that's relevant that we want to pass along. But from like a run perspective in Containerd, that's just context. It's not like it's not the core. It's nothing like core to like what's going on. So like,
yeah.
maybe runtime class, maybe runtime class is too CRI specific, maybe actually like the underlying runtime. I don't know at what point it runs, but just something, yeah.
So what I'll do is at the point that I'm creating the container, I'll stop before the image verify and I'll see exactly what structs are available to me, what could be helpful, what's actually populated, and what's like validated information that could be useful. Because I agree that runtime class and all of that information, like example, if a container is privileged or has like a specific SE Linux context, I think that's like valuable. Or sorry, not a seccomp or a profile or something like that. Like I think that's valuable information to send in.
Yeah, it could be.
And it's our media type, so we can just put whatever information we want. So yeah, let me do that, and I'll see if I can extend it. And then yeah.
For the image verification, I'm not sure. Do we actually even have a signal? I'm not sure that. I don't know if we actually store like the verification like as a signal or like annotation anywhere on the image. So I was just trying to think of like if you have the image verifier plugin, like, and that works on poll, for example, but then you create an image using some other APIs that doesn't go through the image verification plugin. Like, is that something that, is that just like a signal? Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, we can discuss that more later. I don't
So
wanna.
the purpose of this was actually like, yes, the reason I passed in pod annotations is I was like, if someone did want to make it opt-in, then they'd put a pod annotation on their workload, right? That just says like enforce image signatures. And then, but the Containerd is not the one who's picking that up. Containerd is going to send everything to the policy engine, but the policy engine will just have like, hey, if I see this annotation and I do trust it, like I'll go ahead and just return
I
like
mean,
a passing
Containerd is never
response.
gonna care. It's just gonna pass in
Yeah,
information. It's like from a Containerd perspective, it's just like I'm calling out to this plugin, and then maybe the result of this plugin, I store it somewhere, and then I'm gonna call this other plugin. I'm gonna take what's stored there, and then like Containerd's responsibility is like making sure that that information is handled securely and like consistently. But it would be the actual like image verifier policy plugins that are responsible for like making decisions off that. Like I don't like Containerd like, oh, like based on
opt-in,
the
opt-out
value
based
of
on
this label is going to determine what behavior we have. And like that's something we try to avoid because that injects opinions into the Containerd flow that might not be this. Not everyone might have the same opinion about it.
I agree. Yeah, and that's why I was like everything I'm trying to push it out to the policy engine. So I feel like so let's give it as much context as possible and then push it out to the policy engine. And maybe we can have a better system for policy engines one day that's not a script. But like for now, as we're making this change, to have the most context we can. If we're changing a media type and creating a media type, let's populate it with the most that we can.
Yeah.
Is
I mean, I
that
don't
is that a
care
good
whether it's a
takeaway
script
here?
or like, yeah, that's more like the how. It's more like just the interface between Containerd to make sure that like, I just want to make sure we're being very deliberate about how we change the interface, especially if it changes the scope.
Okay.
All right.
So okay,
We
sounds
talked
good.
about that one a lot, so we can talk about it more on that issue.
Cool.
Since we
Yeah,
have 5 minutes
I'll
left, let
look
me,
into that.
yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you
Um,
for giving so much time to me on that. Appreciate you.
well, yeah, I mean, we haven't had a chance to talk about that
Can
one
I ask
too
a
much.
dumb question? Like, how much overlap? I
Nope.
haven't looked on image verification plugins a lot, but how much overlap with NRI?
With
One
NRI,
more time?
Yeah, how
I
much?
don't think there's any overlap with NRI.
But we
NRI
call
doesn't
create
participate
container
in,
callbacks, right? From CRI layer. Isn't
but
it where we
NRI,
can? Oh, so
NRI happens as part of the container creation. Image pull's a separate step that happens before that. So there's
is
like
this
separate
called
operations
before
in
pull?
CRI. Yeah, I mean, image verifier is at pull.
Oh, okay.
Is your
But
point
we
that
are
could we use
extending it
NRI?
here.
Yeah, kind of like NRI dominates in CRI. We basically intercept every single call. Why don't we intercept pre-pull the same way? It's easier to extend. I mean, we already have image verifier as a plugin type, so it kind of doesn't make sense. But in general, would it makes more sense to just extend NRI with this?
I think the other
Maybe.
bit is NRI right now is only hooked up for CRI. Image verifier is just in the transfer service, so it means it can be used by non-CRI clients as well.
Yeah, Sam, I don't think you were there at the beginning when we were talking about this
No,
one. So
I'm not.
this change is specifically like putting image verifier to run during well, it's only during CRI, but before a CRI run, it actually will call the image verifier, and it will basically pass in an extended object instead of just the descriptor, but like the image descriptor that you're trying to run plus additional context, CRI context, like annotations, and then use that same judgment, but it's basically the judgment is whether to run yes or no rather than just to pull yes or no. So I think
I think at
Maxim's
that
point is
point,
that, yeah. Go ahead.
I think at that point I would agree with Maxim. Like that's a create container decision, and NRI is a vehicle to do that already. Like you can reject a create container with an NRI plugin, and you get
Okay.
information on what image is being like used.
I am going to explore that then in that case. I appreciate that. That
Yeah,
was
we have a
that was a
concept
very
of like
great question then, Maxim. Thank you.
Sure. Anytime. I have a lot of dumb questions.
That's
that's a
always the
good
dumb
question. I mean,
question.
we have a concept of like validating plugins in NRI that can be used for enforcing policy.
Okay.
So,
I would love to explore that. And does it also and it sends labels and annotations too. Wow. Okay. I will explore this, and this might just be the solution. And probably a better way to integrate if it is. To do. I'll see you in the next meeting, guys. But appreciate you.
Sounds good. All right, 2 minutes left. Any other items? Quick items? Maxim, I'll demo the Aerofest stuff in 2 weeks. If you want to take a look at it then.
Sorry about the hiccup. That person was on vacation, and it didn't come to my mind to tell you about that.
It's
I
July.
completely.
Everybody should be
Yeah.
on vacation.
Yeah.
Sam, what's up?
I just had one really quick thing. There was Waze PR about the AI policy stuff. I wanted to see if everyone was okay with that or if there was any further objections.
Oh, and there's your security one too. You don't want to plug your own thing too?
Yeah, I would like to plug that. That one's a lot longer. And I got some good feedback from DIMS on that I haven't addressed yet, but would definitely appreciate more feedback on that too.
Can you link? Okay, there.
I linked Waze.
Oh, and the
I'll
projects
link
one.
mine.
Okay.
Yeah. That one's
Oh,
mine.
that one's really short. Wait, did I already
Yeah,
read this one?
Waze is really short, so
June 4th. I thought I already looked at this one. Oh, you originally nixed it. Okay, I'll take a look at that one. I think it already
yeah,
okay.
I'm happy with
I'll
it
take a
now.
look.
So I wanted to verify that everyone else was. We've got like 4 approvals on it and wanted to make sure.
All right, I don't think we have a standard threshold to reach there. Akahiro already looked at it and didn't have any further objections.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I
We
would
only had
say
initial objections, but
okay.
The-
I
this
mean, I'll
mo-
merge it as long as Akahiro doesn't object to it.
The smaller PR, the more comments it gets. Like this PR is 14 lines of code and 28 comments.
As long as every PR doesn't magnify that much based on the number of ones.
No, we should just open larger PR. They're harder
Actually,
to
it
reach.
goes. It's more of like an inverse relationship. The smaller PRs always get more comments than the bigger ones.
Yeah, exactly. Do larger PRs.
I don't know. My security one's a pretty big one. That's got a lot of comments on it too. So
Well, documentation tends to get a lot of comments.
yeah.
Do you have another? Well, as it should. Do you have another draft of that one coming out soon, or you want to drop that one as soon as you have some changes? I'll
The
take a look at
security
that.
one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's mostly final. DIMS only had, I think, pretty minor comments on it, and so I'll address those. But it's not going to result in like very big change.
Okay. I think I got halfway through that and got distracted by something else. So
Yeah.
I'll get through it.
Thanks.
All right, everyone. See you in a couple weeks then. 2 weeks.
See you.
Thank you.
Thank you.